Tired of climbing ladders. So I'm out here in my metal shop, and it's a 20 by 24 space that this is more of a winter thing. I spend a lot of time out here in the winter time welding and fabricating things out of steel. So you can see it's pretty cluttered in here because everything in here I use all the time. So you can't always vacuum up your mess with the shop vac or broom it out with a broom. or pick it up with a dustpan. What I do is I just open the overhead garage door, and what I've been doing is using my DEWALT blower to blow debris out into the courtyard, right? And it's worked pretty well. Not as well as I'd like, but it works because, you know, you blow around all of this. Unlike, you know, using a broom and things like that, you can blow off your machinery, like my bandsaws and stuff. And you can blow off your tables and all the dust and crap off the shelves and everything and right out into the courtyard. So I was telling Candy, you know, she was in the tractor barn. She's got a little workout room out in the tractor barn that we both use from time to time. And she was trying to clean up a little bit of the dust and things like that because there's just crap laying everywhere, like most garages. Most people have crap laying everywhere in their garages, even in their shops and everything like that. And it becomes a pain in the ass to shop vac everything up and broom everything out. So I was telling her about this DEWALT that I use to blow out debris from my metal shop with, and she was intrigued by that. And we were at Home Depot, and we were looking at another DEWALT blower for the tractor barn. And they're pricey. They're kind of up there. You know, they're not cheap. They're $250 or even more. Don't quote me on it. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. But we did see, what she saw was this 40-volt RYOBI blower. And it has a turbo boost on it. And unlike my DEWALT blower, which is 20 volt, it works okay, and it's what I've been using. She decided to go ahead and pick up this 40-volt, it's lithium battery, blower for the tractor barn. Now, unlike the DEWALT, what I was getting ready to say is this thing has a turbo. See, that without the turbo sounds almost identical. And it blows about the identical same as this 20-volt DEWALT blower that I've been using out here. But one thing I gotta tell you, I'm sold on this RYOBI blower especially, and it's what got me intrigued into getting the pruning saw. But listen to this thing with the turbo on it. Without. I mean, that's like a jet engine. This thing it kicks ass. It goes twice the speed of my DEWALT blower. It's better. It is. It just is. So what happened was the battery charger for this battery just went bad. I don't know why. It stopped charging the battery. So we were in town and we started looking at these tools again because we liked it so well. We wanted to replace, well, we didn't know it was the charger at the time. We thought it could have been the battery that went bad, which would have been really ugly because the battery is the most expensive part of any cordless piece of equipment that you're going to buy. So we knew that, but because we liked the product so well, like I said, we were looking at maybe getting another battery for the blower. And then I came across that pruning saw, and As you remember a couple videos when we talked about the Kodiak truck and the low-lying limbs in the driveway, when I pull in, tearing off the roof vent or scratching the side of the camper when we come home, as soon as I saw it, I was like, dong, that's a RYOBI. It has the same battery system. I love the blower a lot, and you can see why. And so, yeah, let's talk about the pruning saw. So like you saw, I've been practicing it with this saw a little bit, and the chain loosened up, so now I have to tighten the chain up a little bit here. So I'll do that first, then I'll talk to you about this saw and making cuts with it. Now what this saw comes with also is a little Allen wrench and the little screwdriver end on the other side of it. And all you need to do is just loosen up this screw on the side of your saw head here. Just enough to use the other side of this little wrench they give you to tighten your chain up, just a skosh. You don't want it over tightened or it'll stick on you while you're cutting. So you want, that's about right. You loosen it, you tighten your chain, and you're good to go. See that? Here's where you put your bar and chain oil. It has a little window on the other side of it, so you could see how full or empty you are. And you just can't. Now, I kind of did, because over a period of years, as much time as I've spent behind a chainsaw, you can kind of get a feel for the work that you're doing when you're cutting or pruning limbs that are up high. And you can't always just stick this thing up on a tree limb and just expect to cut right through every time. It doesn't work that way. So if you do it that way, you can run into all kinds of problems. If you don't have the experience of cutting or using a chainsaw all the time like I do. So let me give you an example. I guess I should give the proverbial excuse my mess speech that you're supposed to give when you have a mess and you're showing it. I'm constantly out here working on stuff, and I do get around to eventually cleaning everything up and start from scratch, but then it ends up like this again. And the only reason to clean up is to have space to do some other stuff that makes it messy again. You get it. So I got that proverbial thing out of the way. Anyway, well, it's talking about like a tree limb. Let's say this is the tree here, and here's your tree limb coming off of it here. Follow me? So you just don't want to stick the saw end of your pole saw up here and just cut through, although you can. And you have to be so careful, because invariably what happens is people cut through too fast and they pinch their saw blade way up high in a tree and they can't get it out. The limb falls and it pinches the blade, and you have to push up on the limb if you can. Even a lot of times it's not practical to do that, to get your saw blade out. Or you have to get another saw to cut it out. Anyway, it gets to be a real pain in the ass. So what you should do, or what I do a lot of times, is if the limb's big enough, I'll actually notch out the bottom of it, much like you'd be felling a larger tree. only you're doing a branch this time and then I'll cut through like that. Or you can make an uppercut like this, an overcut like this, which is what I usually do. And then you come back on the third cut and cut next to your tree like that. This is just to make sure that your saw blade doesn't get pinched in your tree limb. And then here's your tree. And this is, like I said, the tree limb. So you got 1, 2, and this is your third and final cut all the way through closest to the tree. So this is uppercut, overcut, overcut. Does that make sense? It just takes a few seconds longer and then you don't have to worry about pinching your saw up in the tree. So, there's that. Now I've already made some cuts on this oak tree out in front of the house here, but you can see I still have this one low-lying branch on this oak tree that still hits the camper as I'm coming home from my adventures. Now, that pole saw is not going to reach that limb up there. See it right there's the limb? It's just not going to reach it like that. Now, the whole purpose of having a pole saw like that is so you don't A, have to climb a tree, and B, you shouldn't be using a ladder. That's just what it's for. You just shouldn't be using a ladder. It goes against everything and it makes it more dangerous and all of those yada yada things. It's all true. But I'm going to break that rule because standing on the ground, I still can't reach that. So I'm going to have Candy come out and hold the ladder for me, and I'm going to cut these two limbs down, and if I can reach the end of this one here, we'll get it down too, and then I'll have an open space to drive my truck camper right through here without it catching on any of these limbs. It's not going to be too bad. I don't think I have to go up too high. Candy's no dummy. She's got her helmet on. Minnesota Twins helmet. Let me get this out of the way.
Getting pelted with acorns.
You okay?
Yeah.
All right. It's just a wonderful saw. And when your saw isn't in use, you can just break it down. And this last piece comes off of it too. So if you're wanting to cut at different lengths, you can take out sections. You don't have to use the whole thing. You can, for example, attach the saw blade to any. Let me show you. Take this off of here. It just screws right off, these sections. Now you shouldn't be using a saw like this to buck wood with anyway. This is for limbing and pruning only. But out here in the countryside, we do what we must. Oops. Okay, that's not going to fit in there. Okay, we have to have at least one section on here. It's kind of dummy proof. It only comes off one way and goes in one way. So we took one section off of it. And does it still work? Smaller saw? You know it does. So you don't have to have all the sections on it for it to operate. And it should store away pretty nicely. Okay. See y'all later. See you on the next one.